Hello, I'm Karl and I'm a golf psychologist. Over the past 10 years or so, I've been really fortunate to work with some of the best players in the world, players like Karl and Paul McGinley. What I want to talk to you today though is practice. Now, I'm going to make a bold statement. I'm going to say the chances are the practice that you're doing at the moment is a complete and utter waste of time. What I'm going to explain to you today is that your practice sessions need to be different. You need to think differently. You need to involve an element of consequence in your practice. You need to simulate the real game. You need to put yourself under pressure and you need to measure your progress. All of those things are going to be covered today. One of the guiding principles that I have in the work that I do is this. If what you're doing is working and you're improving, you need to do more of it. If it isn't working, you need to do something else. Einstein said that the definition of insanity is to keep doing the same things over and over again and expect a different result. Or maybe if you're one of those golfers that hits it great on the range and then plays poorly on the golf course, you need to start to do a few things differently. The mental game could be complicated to work on, but what I've done is simplify it. I always work on what I call the 4 quadrants to mental mastery. So you have before golf, during golf, the in-between, and after. Now, if you work on all of those 4 areas, I promise you that your mental game will improve. Improving on this side of the game is different than taking a golf lesson. With a golf lesson, we can see the swing improving. When you improve your mental game, it'll kind of sneak up on you. But it'll sneak up on you in a way that's going to make a big difference to your golf game. Practice. Most people completely waste their time on the range because they don't understand there should be 2 distinct forms of practice. One is where you're actually working on your golf swing, and there's some real key rules about that. The other is the second kind of practice, which is the kind of practice that almost nobody does, where you actually simulate game conditions. You simulate game conditions by putting an element of consequence there, an element of pressure, and being able to record your results. I'm going to show you a few ideas of how to get the absolute best out of your time on the range. So here I am, the first kind of practice, which is changing my golf swing. The golden rule needs to be that when you're working on your golf swing, you just focus on one key position. So many times we see players tying themselves in knots, working on so many different things. The bottom line is this: the golf swing has to change in the brain first, and when you focus on that one aspect, you're going to make that change. So get on the range, very clear on what you're working on. Actually, when you're hitting the shots, it's irrelevant where the golf ball goes. The key here is the feeling of the move that you're trying to make. It's very important to understand the second kind of practice. That's the kind of practice where you simulate game conditions. Golf is a unique sport in so much that every shot that you hit on the golf course has a consequence. It goes on the card. And your practice needs to replicate that. Otherwise, you're just mindlessly hitting golf balls. I've got a couple of ideas that have worked well over the past 10 years or so with some of the best players in the world to get the very best out of your practice time.